Good morning, my friends. This is Irreverent Knits. I am Tracy, the owner of Low Country Shrimp and Knits. I am missing my knitting bestie. She is up visiting family in Ohio. And so Judi Kirby of Maggie Loves Yarn will not be here today, much to my chagrin. It's very lonely. It's very lonely at the shop without her. And plus, if I screw up, I'm like, oh God, I got to actually just figure this out on my own. So I'm not starting any new projects, that is for sure, because we can't be doing that. It's too crazy. Good morning, my friend. I got Denise meeting. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much. So I wanted to talk about a couple of things that we've been working on. So as you may or may not have been following my travesty of a cardigan, I'm calling it the dumpster fire cardigan. My daughter does prefer chaos cardigan, but I started this when there was absolute just a week of bad news, craziness. So you can tell that I was struggling with paying attention to my knits, because you have to go so many rows and then you reverse your stitch and blah, blah, blah. So it's not a difficult pattern. It's just my brain was not where it was supposed to be because it was dealing with a lot of chaos. So say a prayer for me or something, okay? But anyway, so I got done with the two sides. I got done with the back that you kind of put that on waste yarn or on holders or something. And then I was able to stitch my shoulders together on both sides. And then this is where I'm going to start to join the collar. So the collar is, kind of just another extra little boom. It's in purl as opposed to all of the knit stitches or the stockinette style that we've got going on here. So it's doing well. It's fitting. So I'm happy with that. I didn't want it to be too baggy, and I'm kind of wear my cardigans open like this anyway. So this is going very well so far, at least for fit size. Just don't look at the 11 million mistakes going on here because, well, they're lovely. And I don't own a horse to gallop by on. So if I did, then you wouldn't even notice these mistakes. But maybe I could borrow one. I live next to a whole bunch of them in one of the developments over. So anyways, this is what's going on with this. So I started the sleeve. So the sleeve, and the pattern doesn't call for the use of the contrasting color, but we decided that we were going to add it. And so you have to get back into the beginning of the pattern at the bottom where you're going to be kind of joining these in a decrease so that you get this nice cute little point here. So I just did one of the sections in the green, and then the rest I am just following up. So it's a little bit of, first you're decreasing. Oh, I just put it in the coffee. This will keep me awake now. Caffeinated sweater. Yes. So anyway, so you kind of decrease in the bottom, and then you start to increase to make the sleeves a little wider as you go up further. So again, not a difficult stitch, just some counting and paying a little bit of attention to it. So this is going well. I'm hoping to get the sleeve done, coming up soon. But I started teaching again too. So I'm a professor. That's my real job. This is just my clubhouse. And so the beginning of semester is always chaos. I don't know if you have spent a lot of time with teenagers, but when you send them off to college, they should know how to do basic things, and sometimes they don't. So it's always, as a professor, I try to start up the semester saying, okay, you just gotta breathe, okay? Like you're not out, as I always ask, is anyone going to be translating for the UN at the end of class? And no one is, which is weird, I think, but okay. So once they're not translating for the UN, I'm like, you got to just chill out. We'll get to where we need to be. That's kind of how I feel with my knitting. It'll get to where it needs to be, maybe. If not, we can pull it out, Sometimes yarn doesn't know what it wants to be, Sometimes these kids don't know what they want to be when they grow up. That's okay. So anyway, one semester I had a student, I was teaching in class at Montclair State, and I've been teaching there for years, and I love it. And so she was texting me. She was in the class. I usually have back-to-back classes, and she's texting me because she couldn't find the room. So I was like, okay, well, it's room, I don't know, 2022, whatever it was. And she's like, no, I need step-by-step directions to get to the second floor. And I'm like, seriously? Like, you've never stepped upstairs before? Like there's like stairs on every angle of this building, and it's a square. So you go one direction if the numbers go up, the other direction the numbers go down. So I don't know, but sometimes they scare me. So yesterday I had a student. I have quizzes that I give for vocabulary, and I give a code word so that they can't just crack into it before I'm ready to give the quiz. And so I had sent out this little, hey, reminder, the quiz is today. the password is, or the code word is, and then I had a colon, and I spaced it, and I put the code word buena suerte on the next line. And thought it was pretty obvious, because sometimes I would just put, code word and then colon and then, just the password. And then they're like, do I have to include the colon? So I try to put it all on its own. So they just copy and paste right into the thing, figure it's user friendly. No, wrong. I mean, seriously, I'm 16 messages back and forth. I just don't understand what the code is. I'm like, it's on the announcements. I'm not seeing it. Well, you got to open up the whole announcement. And she's like, because I'm not just going to tell it to her, because then they don't learn. So I don't want to go through this, for 14 weeks. So I'm like, you got to open it up. She's like, literally, this is all I'm seeing. And then she copied and pasted my exact thing. I'm like, I still don't understand what the confusion is. It says it right there. Code word, buena suerte. Where are you confused? So anyway, this is our future. So if you are sending children off to school, please make sure they know how to do basic things, and also don't harass the professor, because texting them and emailing them 75 times about something foolish is a little bit frustrating. You know what I'm saying? Anyway. Good morning. So, so that's what's going on my end, is just getting ramped up for that semester. Syracuse, doing well with their football so far. I wish they'd do maybe a little less well, because the score for the UConn game was, 48-14. So I've got the first two Syracuse quarters in here. I now need to flip over to the UConn score, but it's only seven little blue rows, and then I have to do another 21 rows of orange. So I'm still kind of working on that. This is my brainless, just knit, don't even have to think about it. It's knitting in the round, so that's fun. So there's not even any purling. It is literally just making sure you're on enough rows and keep going from there. I got these smart sticks in because I like to try out different things. When I was, I'm a tiny baby shop. And so when I was first ordering everything for the shop, I was like, well, I know what I like, but I don't know what everybody else is buying. It's weird because I'm down the south, and in the south, I'm like, oh, people aren't going to buy wool. It's so hot down here and it's so humid for most of the year. And so I didn't order any wool, and people came in and like, where's your wool? I'm like, sorry. So I'm kind of with time learning what people like, and, trying to figure out my mistakes of what I ordered. And I'm like, ooh, that was not a great order. Or when you're ordering online and you're like, oh, this is such a pretty color, and it comes in, you're like, oh God, jeez, who's going to buy this thing? I'll better mark that right down, because that's not pretty. But anyway, so I got these smart sticks. Judi loves them. Judi loves the smart sticks. So she's like, get me some 16s, because I had the 9-inch to do socks with, because we teach a lot of great socks classes here. In fact, it's so much fun. So we are been doing the Happily Knitting Socks book. So we have a little club where people can come, and each month we do a different sock from this book. And the book is hilarious. You have to have a nice little irreverent sense of humor. But as we are Irreverent Knits here, this fits right in with our genre of being. So it's a great book, really fun, cool socks. And so this month we're doing the ice liquor sock. Let me actually just go grab it. I'll keep talking. Follow along with me here. So this sock is really funny, and it's got some great colors in it. So Judi put this together here. So we've got the ice cream, and I'm like an ice cream junkie. That's my weakness. So these socks are kind of perfect for me. It is still a little warm for socks, but by the time I'm finished with it, it will be, probably January at this rate. So we got this going on. Still room in the class if you want to sign up for it. And the other sock that we're doing next month, this is gorgeous. Let me just grab the book. It is going to be so much fun. So I had to order, I think, 12 different colors of Lang Jawal sock yarn. So this is the book. It is hilarious. Super highly recommended. It's so much fun. So we are going to be doing, it's towards the back. Let me make sure I get, it's called Back to Nature. And it's just this gorgeous, really fun opportunity to do color work and those kinds of things. So a lot of different colors that go with that. Now, anyone that knows me knows I don't like nature. So I'm just naturey, and it's not my thing, but I do like the socks. So that is how I'm going to become one with nature, is to make these socks and then wear them on my feet. And people are like, oh, you need to get outside. I'm like, no, I don't, because look, I brought nature with me. Okay. So yes, I think the Sierra Club is going to be really probably having me wanting me to sponsor them and stuff, because I'm so good with nature. So, got that. So anyway, pick this book up. You have to have a sense of humor because it's a little bit racy at times, but thumbs up from us. Thumbs up from Judi and me. It was actually Judi who was like, "You're going to get this book. It's so funny." I'm like, "I'm in. You had me at funny." So anyway, that's what's going on. So we've got this. Here's my Syracuse sock. Hopefully they've got a game coming up. I don't remember who because I have no short-term memory, but I'm sure it's going to be awesome. So go Qs. Okay. So let me see. So anyways, what I was talking about these Smart Sticks. So Smart Sticks we got in these are size 16s because I already had 24s and 32s. So I'm just trying a little bit at a time grow my inventory. And I work with Bryson Distribution, and they are terrific. So I got these Smart Sticks from them, and I like them. They're good. I like the little it's not slippery metal, so they're not falling off. The stitches aren't falling off, and they have this cool little thing where your measurement, it's an inch. So if you're trying to measure things, they have it right here, so you don't have to whip out your handy-dandy tape measure. The only thing I don't like is with some of these circular needles, there was always this little catch here at the bottom. And so I get a little like, meh, when I'm trying to always pull the pieces over when I'm knitting. Well, not only just in the round, but knitting in general. And so it gets a little like frustrating if you're just constantly trying to push the needles over it. And I'm spoiled because I got right out of the gates, I spoiled myself with a really beautiful set of interchangeable needles and all the cables, and I like the swivel cords. So anyway, so that's my my review. So they're good. They're nice, solid needles. Are they my absolute favorite? No. Judi loves them. So again, everybody's knitting is a little bit different, and what people like and want from all their, their hobbies is very unique. So that's what's kind of fun and cool about the shop, is really just kind of learning new ways, new techniques, new ways of thinking, things that, I mostly taught myself how to knit. So my mom showed me how to knit and purl and then kicked me right out of that nest. And so everything I've done over the years, I've just kind of winged my way through and fudged it. And, sometimes when there's holes, you just throw a little extra in there and be like, what? Oh, I see nothing. I don't know what you're talking about. So that's what's going on with this one. And so the other project that we kicked off a couple of weeks ago is this fun weekend bag. And I know I've shown it to you a couple of times here on the show. So I'm not going to go into it too much. I've worked a little bit on it, but it's been crazy now with the beginning of the semester. So I haven't had as much free time as I would like to spend knitting. But so here's where I've gotten in the front so far. It's kind of curling because, of course, we felt the heck out of this thing. But it's coming along. So these are going to be flowers. It's kind of hard to see, but when we felt it, they kind of pull all together very beautifully. And I did have to, as Judi recommended, kind of weave in my yarns because it was a lot of like spaghetti and anger in my piece. And nobody needs spaghetti or anger in their knitting because you're like, it's all stuck together. Gonna keep working on that. I've got to get this felted. Let's see, the next class is in just a couple of weeks, so I want at least this front done so that I can start to put together the other segments with all the people that are taking the class. So really fun class, and I do have the kits available. So if you want to buy just a kit, obviously if you're not local or if you already know how to do all this stuff, but the classes are more than just learning how to do something new. A lot of it is this camaraderie, and we got really detached over COVID because we were all trapped, right? And you weren't allowed to be with anybody, and even your pod had to be limited, and nobody really was able to spend time with their people. And a lot of us moved, myself included. So it was really hard to come to a new place and not be able to build your new family and your new friends. So it's been wonderful having this shop because people are really coming together, and I've just met the most wonderful people, and these people have become such wonderful friends, and I'm so blessed to have them. And it's neat to see everybody come together and learn from each other, and it's just, we've kind of grown this eclectic group of really funny people. So if you're ever in town, come hang out with us because we laugh an awful lot at these meetings. So come on down. All right. So today what I wanted to talk about is a couple of things. So I'm really excited about this yarn. I've been wanting to add it for a while, but again, as a little shop, I have to kind of play my cards right. And this yarn is a little bit, it's not heavy. It's a little bit heavier feel to it, but it's not one of those yarns when you first pick it up, you go, oh my God, it's so soft, it's heavenly. No, it's a yarn. It kind of feels stiff. Okay, well, because it's wool, and wool is stuff, and this is lamb's wool, so this is kind of special because it's the first shearing of a little tiny lammy. So it's just, but it knits up beautifully. So it's this company out of France. They get their sheep from Scotland, and it's called Biche and Boucher. So it looks like bitches and booches, and it's not, because we could slaughter. We can anglicize just about anything, especially, when we get all white girl. What is this, bitches and booches? No. Let's be French about it. Biche and Boucher. Okay? So this is le gros lamb's wool. So the lamb's wool here, we get with the gros, which means thick. Okay? So not gross. It's not gross. It's lovely. But it's absolutely beautiful. So when you knit with it, it just holds your stitches really beautifully. And the good thing is you actually wet block this, which we know if you wet block 100% wool, it's going to felt. But this, you just wet block it and let it do its thing, and while it's drying, and it plumps up and gets so fluffy, and it still holds your stitches really beautifully. This is gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. So they sent me this one that was a color I hadn't ordered to just kind of play with, and I threw a few stitches on it, and it was really quick, and these were too small. But I just wanted to show you, as I was kind of playing with it, I was just doing kind of a little lattice, nothing fancy, just trying to show you that it holds the stitches just beautifully. And again, once you wet block it, it'll plump up and it will feel really soft. And the more you work with this too, it gets softer. So it's not, in the skein, it's kind of stiff. So you're not going to pick it up and go, oh my God, this is going to feel so good on my skin. No, but it does get softer, okay, and get better. And quite frankly, with sweaters, most people are wearing camisoles or tank top or shirt underneath it anyway. But this is not itchy. It's not itchy. And a lot of what people, when they say they have wool allergies, there are people that have allergies to everything. Believe me, I'm one of those people. I have the most sensitive skin on earth. Everything that's going to go wrong is horrible and annoying, and it drives me crazy. But this is, like I said, it gets a little bit softer. And what people with wool allergies really are allergic to is to the lanolin. So if you have 100% wool, the lanolin in it is what, the lambs, create, and it helps keep it waterproof, and it helps keep it warm, and it's all the stuff that you want if you're making a really heavy, like fisherman's sweater, or something that's going to be something to wear when it's really freaking cold outside. So if you live up north or in the Midwest or anywhere, Canada with snow, any place that's so cold you want to die, if like your skin hurts just by breathing, it's not anywhere I want to be, because I did that. I went to Syracuse, as you know, and it snowed pretty much every day from September to May. And I kid you not, every day, just sprinkles came down. Sometimes we got a huge bomb cyclone of a storm because of the lake effect, and you wanted to be wearing 2 or 3 of these sweaters. So if you have people up north, or if you are up north, this is beautiful. Anyway, so I got 5 different colors, but here are 2 of the ones that I just pulled out for this. And this is kind of like this beautiful green. This one's actually called, let me see, soft green. And then this one is called soft blue green. So, yeah, and Judi is going to make a sweater. It's this gorgeous thistle sweater. It's like, I think, Islington. Don't quote me on that. But that's coming up too. So she's going to work on that. And I found this sweater. It came out today. Well, maybe didn't come out today. I saw it today for the first time. And I want to say her name is Judi, but it could be Hohi. It's got a little bit of cables, and it's just absolutely beautiful. So that's probably going to be my project when Judi is working on her thistle sweater, whatever it's called. There is a real name for it. I'm just going to make it up, though, so I'm not even going to waste your time with it. Okay. Yeah, it's this. No, it's probably not. So anyway, so we got that coming up, too. So what I wanted to talk to you today about was symbols on your yarn, because a lot of people come in and, they have there's 2 hobbies, right? There's the hobby is, first of all, buying yarn. Buying yarn is its own hobby, okay? You can go in and you can see something, you're like, I need to have this. And there are 2 types of buyers that I've seen in my shop. One that come in with a specific project in mind, and one that come in and go, I don't know what this is, but I need it, and I'll just find something to work with it. Okay, so either one was wonderful, because it's so much fun to see, kind of the colors they put together and what they're going to plan, and when they bring their things in after they've made it, it's such a treat, because some of these people are so freaking talented. I'm like, oh God, don't look at my chaos over here. It's lovely. But so we got that going. Keep getting paused for a bad connection. My shop is in a cave, so yeah, that's a lot of fun here when internet's in and out. I can't usually make phone calls, so it's like prison, but I have yarn and needles, so it's better than prison. Okay, I mean, if you had to be in prison, this would be a pretty good place to be, right? If you're a crafter. Anyway, so one of the things you want to think about is, what is this project going to be as you're picking out your gorgeous, gorgeous yarn? So for some reason, right now seems to be baby blanket season. Everyone's coming in, I got so-and-so's pregnant, I need to make a blanket, what do I use? And a lot of people gravitate towards these absolutely gorgeous yarns, which, yeah, who doesn't want to work with Angora or alpaca or something that's just beautiful? But you have to think, first of all, is a new mom going to want to hand wash all this stuff? And I'm going to say no. Okay, so I don't know any new mom that's like, oh my God, look at all this stuff that I now have to hand wash while my baby vomits all over everything. So yeah, I'm going to say, do the woman a favor, or the men a favor, whoever's having this baby or is gifted with this baby, maybe don't do that. Okay, so go with something that is washable, machine washable, preferably dryable, because sometimes you're just throwing it in, you're half asleep and you're just throwing it in the dryer. You're not paying attention to things that need to not be dried in the dryer, okay? And we've all done it, right? You had this certain thing, you threw it in the laundry, you didn't see it, it got tossed in by your husband, whatever the case is, something gets thrown in, and then all of a sudden you take it out and you're like, oh my God, remember when this used to be a shirt? It's so cute now. Does anyone have a doll for this thing I spent $100 on and 6 days of my life making, or 6 weeks or 6 months, whatever it is? So we don't want to do that. Let's avoid that, okay? Because, yarn is so much fun and it's so much fun to play with, but let's treat it the way it needs to be treated so that it can live a long and happy life with you. And then probably outlive you, because I have stuff that my meme made 75 years ago that my Aunt Louise gave to me after she passed, and it's so nice. It's such a nice gift to have. It's a little piece of her. Probably has her hair in it, like everything I make always has my hair in it, and my dog's hair, so you're welcome. Okay, so I'm going to start with that question. So people come in and they say, oh, I don't know, I want a baby blanket, I want to make something. So sometimes you're fortunate and your yarn tells you the instructions next to the symbols. So this one is one that I like to recommend, just because, first of all, it's fun. There's some really fun, bright colors. This is Barocos Comfort, okay? And it's really soft. And it is machine washable and dryable. So that is something that, of course, is a dream for any person that's going to be dealing with this blanket, okay? So here, you're going to see is this symbol here for machine wash, okay? And there's some information that's in here, 86 degrees Fahrenheit and 30 degrees Celsius. And then here is the symbol for tumble dry in the dryer. And then do not iron and do not bleach. So those can kind of be, you can kind of figure out, this looks like a dryer that you've closed, and if you've got a top loading machine, yeah, I get that. Those will make sense. And this is clearly an iron. So, we can sort of read between the lines on that one. Not too rocket science like, Okay, so the next thing that you want to go, well, this is a pretty good solid yarn, but let's look at some other things. So if you want to get into, like, let's say this one is, it's beautiful, okay? Hedgehog fibers, all right? Well, in this case here, they've got the written instructions, so that is also very helpful. So look at those things. This is sock yarn from them, and of course, when you're making socks, people do hand wash all their socks. I'm too lazy for that, so I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm not that person. But this you can machine wash, but a lot of people don't, because again, when you're spending the kind of money on Hedgehog that you spend, I wouldn't want to take a chance putting it in the washing machine and then putting it in the dryer for shrinking or kind of your stitches, whatever the case may be. So those are some that are really good. So let's look at some other symbols here. So there are all kinds of things you can print on the internet, and I keep this in my shop. So if people come in and they just want to kind of look, and this is very extensive. You're probably not going to see all of this information on a lot of things, okay? But it does come up on some of them. So when it looks like a top loading or like a tub, right? This does mean machine washable. but if it has a cross through it, then it's don't wash, okay? So that's kind of obvious, but they do even have more specific settings. So if there's no line underneath it, that's machine wash. If there is a one line underneath it, you've got to use permanent press, and then the third line with third one here with 2 lines is delicates. So again, you do need to kind of fine tune if you're going to wash things, making sure that you've got the water at the right temperature and that you've got it on the right settings. And there are specific ones that will tell you the temperature. So for example, here, this is in Celsius. So 30 degrees, machine washable, cold, okay? And then, this is also under permanent press because it's got the one line underneath it, okay? And then this one is, there's no line, so you can wash it from anywhere between 30, and then it's 80 degrees Fahrenheit here. Same thing here, you've got 50, and then you've got 60, and you've got 95. So different temperatures on the washing machine too. That's helpful. Obviously your iron, they're going to give you different settings. There's a lot of things you wouldn't want to iron. You might want to steam kill something, but ironing, it can burn. If you have something that's got acrylic in it, it can burn it. You literally can melt what it is that you've made. So you've got to be really careful with how you care for your goods, okay? So a lot of times then you're going to start to get some other symbols like this Circulo A or P. Well, we're getting into standards for different textures in the material, okay? So, you can't use it with any, you can use this one like with any solvent, but, some blah, 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 blah. And so when you're using blah, 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 blah in your laundry, don't put your delicates in it. But again, so, sometimes you can have certain things, you can have delicate, like a woolite type of thing in this fabric one, all right? The drying one, it's really up to you. If you want to dry it, there is, this one that's got the center, one circle, that's normal, okay? Then this one is going to be kind of a medium heat. This is low heat and this is medium heat, and this is high heat. And then this one's just tumble dry without really any heat in that case, not too much, okay? So again, while it looks like a dryer, there are specific settings that are in it, okay? Same thing here, delicate, and then permanent press. And then this one is just plain old do not dry, because those will be things that will felt or melt, and you're not going to want to kind of deal with that. And there are a lot of different symbols. So let's kind of talk about some of these yarns that I have. So this one is very popular. A lot of people use this Circulo Natural. It's 100% organic cotton. It's really thick and heavy. People love making washcloths and things like that out of this. We played around with it, and Nancy, who teaches crochet class, made this really beautiful kind of like a tank sleeveless shirt, and it's so heavy that it feels like you're wearing a straitjacket. So that may be a good gift for some people in your lives. Anyway, so this one here. So let's look at the symbols. All right. So here they've got this symbol, which is hand wash. So in that case, they don't recommend throwing it in the washing machine. But if you're using this for like a face cloth or a washcloth for your kitchen, does it matter? I mean, it's going to shrink a little bit. But if it's something that you're not wearing, if it's not something to size, it may not be the end of the world because it is 100% cotton, but it does shrink. Okay. It's cotton. So that happens, and so here we've got this triangle with an X through it. That's do not bleach. So even if you're using white, this will help. It will kind of deteriorate some of the cotton. So that is important when you are using it in the washing machine. If you're hand washing it, bleach shouldn't even be a factor, really. If you're hand washing something, bleach should probably never go on it because it will destroy it. Okay. And then here, so they've got this machine with the X through it. That's do not tumble dry. So again, you have to be careful if this is something that you're using as a washcloth or a face cloth, then there is a chance if you're putting it in the washer and dryer that it's going to come out at the end of it and you might be disappointed with the way it looks. So think about the functionality of what you're using for that. So this is great thick cotton and it knits up beautifully for those things. But if you're planning on doing a lot of washing and drying, know that after a couple of washes and dries, if you're not following the instructions, it's going to change the integrity of your material and of your knits. Really thin. You can get a couple washcloths out of this. In fact, it's kind of fun to use even at a beginner level because at least they have something at the end of the, it's like I made a scrubby or something the cat hurled. So so you got this to play with. But this one is, and again, they're good at spelling it all out, so it's not so challenging. But here you can machine wash warm. So, here we've got there's your washing machine at the end, and it's got the two lines under it, so that says, kind of delicate or gentle. There's your dryer symbol, so it can be dried. So again, if you're looking to do something like a washcloth or a face cloth or something used in the kitchen for a scrubby, this would be a good one because you can wash it and dry it, and it's not going to chance the way that your material comes together. Okay, but it does say do not bleach. That's this triangle with the X through it, and but you can iron it. So I don't know. Are you all ironing your washcloths? Because I guess I'm really lazy. Also, I don't really iron, so I guess this isn't pertaining to me. Okay, and this last one with the A, this says any solvent. So you can use whatever washing machine. If you're gonna throw some Tide in there, or snacking on a Tide Pod, just kidding. Don't do that. Don't snack on Tide Pods. That's very bad. Anyway. That's something that, again, when you're making Christmas or holiday gifts, something you may consider. All right, so this one is, I sell a lot of vintage, okay? This is Barocos Vintage here at the shop. This is a really good, solid yarn. It's got a decent amount of yardage. It's got 218 yards. It's a really good price point, and it's just a great all-around yarn. What I like about it is washable and dryable. So it doesn't give you too much of the information. It kind of spells it out at the top for you. But there is acrylic in it. So acrylic is something that you have to be careful with because it's man-made. And, if you're throwing it in the dryer, it can melt it or it can catch on fire, which it would be super fun. I know, but let's not do that, okay? So you're supposed to lay it flat to dry. Even though you can, it's... you're supposed to do cold water and then, lay it flat to dry. But again, so you got to be careful what you're making with these and recognizing that, well, I've spent all this time, make sure that I'm, maybe blocking it or throwing it out to dry as opposed to throwing it in the dryer. This little gorgeous thing, all right, so this one is Essential Super Kid Mohair, and this is in the print family because it's got all these fun, gorgeous colors here. So again, anything with mohair and silk in it, you're not going to want to be throwing that sucker in the washing machine, okay? So sometimes they don't really come with any information at all. This one does, but just be smart. Like, think about it. Would you want to have a mohair sweater and throw it in the wash? No. So here we've got this hand in a bucket. That's hand washing. Do not iron, do not dry. And this one line that goes straight through it is dry flat in the shade. So again, if you're throwing it out, you're like, oh, it's nice out, throw it in the sun. That doesn't recommend that. So you got to pay attention to that. Don't iron. And the P is, you can use it with any solvent except for tetrachloroethylene, blah, blah, blah. So don't use that, whatever that is. Apparently it's very bad for this. So just hand wash it. We've got some Eucalypt. It smells fabulous. So here's the one. Let me see, I have Jasmine I just pulled. This stuff works beautifully. So it's always good if you're doing your hand washes to throw a little bit in this. Even put it in a spray bottle if you're not supposed to wet block something. And this will clean it up and you don't have to rinse it. And it just kind of comes through it. The one of them that is important here, and they don't really say it in your yarn, but this is kind of common, hopefully common knowledge, is this one, which it says do not wring. So if you made the mistake, when I was an early knitter, I had made a scarf and I wanted to it was long and I had wet blocked it, and then I wanted to quickly dry it. So instead of putting it in a towel and rolling it up and then kind of squishing it that way, I got lazy and I twisted it and it stretched all my stitches out, and I'm a rookie mistake, but, live vicariously through my hideous. Don't do that. They don't recommend it. All right, so then we've got some other gorgeous materials here. So here's Rowan Soft Yak. So Soft Yak, if you have not played with it, it is so soft. And this is a really good alternative to if you have wool sensitivity or kind of allergies to things that are a little scratchy. This is really soft and it's knits up beautifully. And so you're not going to have the allergies that you would to a wool. But again, so here it does, I don't know if you can see this tiny little guy here. I know it's not focusing very well. So in this tiny little guy here, it says up to 30. So you've got to just keep it in cold if you're going to machine wash it. But then they've got a whole bunch of other symbols in here that, because it's European is, so they've got the United States and the European symbols here. But, don't bleach. You can iron it. But again, always be careful with your ironing. And, you can wash it with any solvent except for, because one other one that is fun. So again, when you've got something like this, okay, so this is Harriet. It is by Juniper Moon Farm, and it's so soft, okay? It's 75% alpaca and some polyamide. So the polyamide is in this because they want to recommend you use these for something like socks, okay? Now, if you are making tiny socks, okay, and alpaca sure is nice and soft and feels really good against your skin. Remember that you definitely need to hand wash these. So there are people that hand wash everything like this. I am far too lazy. So if I do hand wash like my sweaters, but socks, yeah, no. So, pay attention to what you're using to make those. There are some other brands that you can play with. So here is... we use this for some of our socks, just basic classes. It knits up really fun, kind of almost like a tiger stripe when you're working with it. And so this one is Lang Yarns, and this one is virgin wool, but it's also mixed with a nylon, so therefore it holds up well for socks. And in this instant, here you can wash it, and so you can see here, and you can do it, and it says 40. So it kind of means you can do it in a middle range temperature, so kind of a warm setting, and you can dry it too. If you're ironing your socks, you have way too much free time in your hands. I'm just saying, and please stop by because I have 11 chores that I could hand off to you. So again, check those out. Here's Comfort DK. This is the one. It's really nice and soft. This is a really good blanket making thing. It's a little thin, okay? It's only a 3. It's light, so more of a sport weight, but it's very, very soft, and you can machine wash and dry. Don't iron it though, and don't climb a pyramid when you are wearing this, or bleach it. And then we've got this cool stuff. This is Wool and the Gang. I don't know if you've played with this here. This one's called Tina Tape yarn. So they take old material and they kind of make it into, recycle it. It's vegan. There's no chemicals. And so this is kind of a fun thing to play with. And you can, they say hand wash, and then they want it kind of cold. So again, you not want to shrink it, but you can iron it. No bleach. And you can dry it, but on like super, super light. Okay. So, dry flat. I'm sorry. I lied. I meant to dry flat, not dry flat in the shade. That's what that one means. And then, all right, I think, we've got one more. So this one's Wool and the Gang. Anything that's going to be fluffy like this, just trust your instincts. Don't put it in the washing machine, okay? Otherwise, it will definitely, it will stretch, it will grow, and then it will kind of felt. So definitely don't want to throw that in the dryer because in the washing machine, and that's what happens, unless that's your plan. So here, a lot of times you have to dig into the middle of the ball to find it. So there are the instructions. So, hand wash 30, no bleach, no drying, dry flat, and don't iron. All right, so these are some tips. Hopefully that when you go, to your local yarn store, and support your local yarn store, because where there's not a whole lot of us out there in the world. One more to play with is this nice, fun, this is obviously all polyester because it is like a velvet that a lot of people use. This is really big with the amigurumis. And of course, those things get disgusting and filthy if your kids are playing with them, but they do recommend hand washing them. So don't put them in the dryer, and then you can dry this one. It's got the line in it, so it's a little different. It's line dry in the shade, or lay flat in the shade. Because it's flat. I don't know why you're ironing stuffed animals anyway, but maybe that's your thing. Maybe you're a competitive ironer. Did you see those competitive ironing, like people like skydiving and ironing, and climbing cliffs and ironing? So really, that sounds like the next sport for me: cliff climbing and ironing. Because not only do I love nature so much, but nature and ironing. That's the combination that we're all striving for. So yeah, that's my lesson for today, because it actually, we try to make this about knitting, and most of the time we just flapping and laughing. So, today I actually did some knitting stuff. But I do have an Emmeline story for you, okay, because my daughter, she's 12, she's hilarious. My older daughter is very sweet and kind. She's got the most kind, lovely heart. She just joined drama club, so she's very excited about it. She is in high school. My younger one is a force to be reckoned with, and she's got this sense of humor on her that is second to none. She cracks me up, and she's so funny. So, do you know what palmetto bugs are? If you're not from here, they are like giant creepy roaches, and they just get in your house. They're not because you're dirty or they're after food. It's wet out. We've had rain for, Noah was building the ark right here in the back for a while, and they kind of just find their way into your homes, and they're like, whoo, it's dry in here. And so Lena, the kind heart that she has, is always trying to save animals. And so when she sees them in the road, literally, like when she would play soccer when she was a kid, if she's running around like this playing soccer, I'm like, oh my God, she's got a worm or something in her hand that she don't want people to step on. I'm like kind of missing the point of the soccer game, but do you. She saves, when she walks to school, she saves gazillipedes, as we call them, the big millipedes that are so cute that we have here. And if we have spiders in the house and everything, Lena will scoop them up and let them go, or what have you. But sometimes those big bastards get in the house, and Lena doesn't like them, and she's afraid they're going to fly in her hair. And they're big. Like if you see those plastic roaches that they have, and you can like control them with a remote control, and they kind of skitter around like that. That's really what they look like, and they can fly, but mostly they just kind of crawl around. Well, my daughter Lena had her friend Natalie over, and Natalie is not a fan of bugs, so Lena went into her bathroom and was like, oh my God, there's a palmetto bug here. And so instead of just picking it up with a piece of toilet paper and either, flushing it as some people do, or letting it go outside, she called in reinforcements. So she's like, Natalie, stay in your room. Stay in there. Emmeline! So she calls Emmeline. Now, Emmeline is not the saver of the bugs. She is the squisher of the bugs. So when you need something swatted, that's your girl. So she called Emmeline in and was like, oh my God, there's a palmetto bug over here. No, it's over here. We gotta get it. So this thing was crawling down the wall in the tub, and probably it came up through the drain, because that's how a lot of them come in. And if you don't close your drains when you're not using the shower, little things like to crawl in, because that's what they do, right? So it's crawling down, and so it kind of went into, in the shower has that corner piece that's got the little shelf where you can put your shampoo and conditioner and soap or whatever. So this bug was on there, and so Emmeline kind of swatted it away from it, and then it kind of went into the tub. So it was sitting in the bottom of the tub, and then somehow my daughter turned into a Southern Baptist. I don't know what came over her, but she takes out this flip-flop and she's going, Lordy, 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 Lordy. She's beating the tar out of this bug. And I'm like, what? Where did this even come from? Like, we don't really have accents. We've moved. I mean, I was, I'm a New Englander, but we lived in California. We lived in New Jersey. My kids were born in Massachusetts. We lived here for a couple years, so they've got this really neutral accent. But she put on the Southern. She just put that Southern right on when she was beating the tar out of a bug. So that's my daughter. It's always very funny, and I don't know where she gets all of this, but she is highly, highly entertaining. So anyway, that's kind of what's going on my end. So I'm hoping that you enjoyed today and that you learned a little bit of something from the lessons on the washer and dryer instructions. Don't iron, don't bleach, don't climb a mountain. It's not actually in there, but that's not my thing. So, get nature, become one with nature through your socks that we're going to make coming up in October. And definitely check out this new yarn. It's so much fun to work with, and it just, if you have something that's got some intricate stitches and you want people to see it, you don't want to lose it in the fluff. You don't want to have mohair, because then you kind of lose the beauty of those stitches. Check this yarn out. It really is nice, and it's not yucky to touch and play with. Like, there are certain yarns that you touch and you're like, ugh. Like acrylic, to me, for some reason, I always imagine it squeaking, like if I'm chewing on it, and I don't know why, but as a kid, that's what I thought. I was like, chewing on yarn would. So anyway, I don't like any acrylic that squeaks. I'm kind of high maintenance. I like some high-end yarn, hence the impetus of my store. Okay, now we're back. I don't know. Like I said, in the cave, you never know if you're going to have internet. Sometimes we didn't have it at all, so that was fun. But anyway, so she's driving up, excited. I guess her granddaughter was going to have, I want to say volleyball game, but now I can't remember. Yay, short-term memory. And COVID brain still. Yes, me. And then, like, literally a couple hours before she's supposed to arrive, she found out that the poor thing has just gotten tested positive for COVID. So It never fails, right? Never fails. I'm so sick of this darn pandemic, and I think everyone's just about over it. So anyway, yeah, so hopefully she's got some great stories of her voyage to regale us with, and otherwise, behave yourselves. If you're not behaving yourself, at least get some video, okay, and share it with me, because I need to live vicariously. Right now, all I'm doing is teaching knitting store, teaching children, and sometimes. And I hope you have a fabulous week. If you have any questions. Anyway, sorry, again, with the connection. I'm just going to wrap it up now quickly before it goes away. So thanks so much for joining. I hope to see you again next week. Have a fabulous week and happy knitting. Take care.